Shigeru Ishiba to be Japan's next PM after winning LDP leadership election, as Ishiba vows to protect nation, bolster U.S. alliance. Bloomberg reports as poverty soars past 50% in Argentina, as Miley I. Shigeru Ishiba to be Japan's next PM after winning LDP leadership election, as Ishiba vows to protect nation, bolster U.S. alliance. Bloomberg reports as poverty soars past 50% in Argentina, as Miley I. austerity hits hard. New Chinese nuclear attack submarine sank during construction, U.S. defense official says.
Brazil's top court imposes new fine before allowing X to resume service. Iranian operatives charged in the U.S. with hacking Donald Trump's presidential campaign. Meta blocks links to the hacked J.D. Vance dossier on Threads, Instagram, and Facebook. 2 days ago, X suspends journalist Ken Klippenstein after he published J.D. Vance dossier. OpenAI launches new multimodal content moderation model based on GPT-4o, capable of detecting text and images.
Trump brags about very good relationship with Putin while hosting Zelensky, and meeting with Zelensky. Trump says he will negotiate a Ukraine and Russia deal that's good for both sides. Hungarian PM Orban's aide sparks outrage with Soviet invasion comment, as Orban aide says Hungary would have surrendered to Russian invasion.
Trump launches a new business venture during his campaign, the $100,000 watches. The Washington Post comments with, "A true friend of Turkey," for writers on the Eric Adams indictment. NYC Mayor Adams pleads not guilty to U.S. corruption charges, as feds charge NYC mayor with selling his influence to foreign nationals. He says he won't resign. Newsmax and Smartmatic settle 2020 election defamation case on eve of trial. Biden insists he would have beaten Trump in 2024 election, and Joe Biden says he delegated everything to Kamala Harris, foreign policy to domestic policy. Harris leads Trump among young voters, but falls short of Biden's 2020 winning margin. Eric Adams becomes first sitting NYC mayor indicted in historic federal probe, claims federal authorities persecuting him over migrant crisis. David Banks, New York City schools chancellor, to resign.
Congress passes bill to avert a shutdown before the election, sending it to Biden. Democrats introduce Obamacare tax credit extension bill, setting up fight with GOP.
Florida bans instruction on contraception and consent in sex ed classes. FBI reports increase in anti-LGBTQ hate crimes.
Musk says doomed humanity will never reach Mars if Harris becomes president. Trump promises immigrants he wants to deport will get serial numbers. Mark Robinson decries lies about porn site posts, then says they possibly happened, and Trump withdraws support. GOP pulls funding from Black Nazi Mark Robinson. Trump threatens John Deere with 200% tariffs if production moves to Mexico. J.D. Vance and Donald Trump told to stay away in Ohio newspaper. Janet Jackson fired manager who apologized for her Kamala Harris race comments. Manager claims. Ukraine joins NATO drone countermeasures exercise for first time ever. Romania asks Ukraine to shoot down Russian drones breaching Romanian airspace. 2 weeks ago, NATO members Romania, Latvia accuse Russia of violating airspace with military drones. Putin says Russia is ramping up drone production tenfold.
In Canada, Loblaws launches for-profit food bank. In Argentina, government responds to Aerolíneas union strikes with a sell-off threat. South Korea's local governments embrace the 4-day workweek.
The electronics company Sharp wants to sell cars, as Sharp and Foxconn's EV prototype shows new way of vehicle design. 2025 Jeep Wrangler V6 goes manual only, Gladiator goes hybrid. Ford boss warns Chinese EVs are an existential threat.
Forced and child labor abuses found in 75% of lithium battery supply chains. It had been reported recently in Germany as Volkswagen could apparently lay off up to 30,000 employees, and Volkswagen denies report that it is mulling 30,000 job cuts. Redwood Materials signs deal to recycle BMW's EV batteries in the U.S.
EU court confirms Qualcomm's antitrust fine, with minor reduction. Apple gets EU warning to open iOS to third-party connected devices, as EU Commission demands Apple to align interoperability with digital competition rules. Brazil threatens X with $900,000 daily fine for circumventing ban, It has been reported that X bypasses Brazil ban though software update. 23andMe faces Nasdaq delisting after its entire board resigns. Chipmaker Qualcomm lays off hundreds of workers in San Diego. Elon Musk officially moves X headquarters from California to Texas.
Iranian hackers sent stolen Trump campaign info to Biden campaign associates, FBI says. Microsoft executive warns of election meddling in final 48 hours. FTC staff report finds large social media and video streaming companies have engaged in vast surveillance of users with lax privacy controls and inadequate safeguards for kids and teens.
20 killed, 450 wounded as Lebanon hit by second wave of Hezbollah device explosions. After blasts, Lebanon bans walkie-talkies and pagers from flights leaving Beirut. IDF hits more than 100 loaded Hezbollah launchers in series of major Lebanon strikes. As Israel attacks southern Lebanon, Hezbollah launches rockets at Israel. Nasrallah says device blasts could be seen as declaration of war, vows vengeance, and Nasrallah vows Israel will not be able to return residents to their homes in the north.
Ammunition from India enters Ukraine, raising Russian ire. Wall Street Journal reports that Putin is under pressure to call up more troops for war of attrition. With an evil axis, JP Morgan CEO issues stark economic warning over Russia, Iran, North Korea, as Jamie Dimon says an evil axis of countries are his top concern for the next 100 years.
Widespread adoption fraud separated generations of Korean children from their families, AP finds. More than 3/4 of U.S. states have enacted laws to guide use of opioid litigation proceeds. Alaska man charged with threatening to assassinate 6 Supreme Court justices.
Federal Reserve signals end to inflation fight with a sizable half-point rate cut as Fed slashes interest rates by a half point, an aggressive start to its first easing campaign in 4 years. In the U.S., Federal Reserve forecasts lowering rates by another half point before the year is out. Wall Street soars to records as Dow leaps 500 in a rate cut rally that swept the world. The Fed has poured rocket fuel on the red-hot AI trade.
Delta faces U.S. investigation after flight passengers report bloody ears and noses. IBM quietly axing thousands of jobs, source says. Trump floats long-shot proposal for 10% cap on credit card rates.
3,200 years old ancient Egyptian barracks contains sword inscribed with Ramesses II. Eyelash magnate Seidel Miller's art collection estimated to bring around $200 million at Sotheby's.
Reportedly, The Penguin is a violent Batman spin-off that deserves to sit next to The Sopranos in HBO's crime drama pantheon, as the Penguin's showrunner on creating a Gotham show where you don't miss the Batman. X launches the beta version of its YouTube TV competitor. OceanGate wanted Titan sub-pilots to dive to Titanic after just 1 day's training, whistleblower reveals.
Tens of thousands of illegal immigrants with sexual assault, murder convictions in U.S., as per ICE data. Just Stop Oil protesters jailed for throwing soup at Van Gogh's sunflowers. New York Times comments as, in the U.S., in a first among Christians, young men are more religious than young women. Hezbollah confirms its leader Hassan Nasrallah was killed in an Israeli airstrike. Netanyahu distances himself from U.S.-led proposal for ceasefire in Lebanon, as Israel and Hezbollah ceasefire report is false, Netanyahu's office says. Palestinian journalist Bison Oda and AJ Plus win Emmy for Gaza war documentary.
Trump praises Russia's military record in argument to stop funding Ukraine's fight. Russia revisits nuclear doctrine to allow attacks on non-nuclear states in response to Western weapons in Ukraine. Reuters reports that Russia has secret war drones project in China, intel sources say.
Armed man claims he came within feet of Obama outside LA restaurant. Trump briefed by intelligence officials about ongoing Iranian threats to assassinate him. Campaign says. Secret Service agent under investigation for alleged sex assault on Harris aide.
Ukraine was first to implement drone swarm technology and attack more than 200 targets in Russia in a year, as announced by Defense Minister Umerov. Ukrainian troops detect 12,000 targets weekly with help of AI, announced by Ukraine's defense ministry. Iran's president says, "We have never approved of Russian aggression against Ukrainian territory," as Iranian president says his country doesn't support Moscow as Tehran allegedly transfers ballistic missiles to Russia.
In the UK, royals costing taxpayer more than £500 million, new report says. Pew Research announces that Brazilians mostly optimistic about country's global standing ahead of G20 summit. Trump unveils $100 coins with his face on them after selling Bibles, sneakers.
Iranian president says he does not want war with Israel, as Iran's president accuses Israel of seeking wider Mideast war and laying traps to lead Iran into it. Iraqi factions say ready to back Hezbollah in war with Israel. U.S. to send more troops after Israeli strikes kill nearly 500 in Lebanon. Netanyahu tells Lebanese to flee.
Syria's Bashar Assad appoints new cabinet with former foreign minister as new VP. Egypt delivers more weapons to Somalia amid rising tensions with Ethiopia. In Malaysia, viral video linked to Borneo secessionists sparks police investigation, as police investigating viral video of Malaysian flag being lowered in Australia. IDF spokesman Haggari said, "Every house we attacked in Lebanon contained Hezbollah weapons." Hezbollah responds as Israeli raids kill 558. Netanyahu vows to change balance of power with Hezbollah as Israel unleashes heaviest strikes on Lebanon. Iran's guards banned communications devices after strike on Hezbollah, security officials say.
Law enforcement dismantles phishing platform iServer, used for unlocking stolen phones. Hacker behind Snowflake customer data breaches remains active. Interim NYPD commissioner says federal authorities seized materials from his homes, as feds execute search warrant on new NYPD commissioner just over a week after he was appointed. Hezbollah hits back with rockets, as it declares an open-ended battle with Israel. Israel raids and shuts down Al Jazeera's bureau in West Bank, while live on air.
Jewish Israeli charged with plotting assassinations of Netanyahu and key officials for Iran. Reportedly, Telegram channel of Didu secrets shut down, shortly after publication of Israeli Ministry of Justice leak. Leaked documents reveal Israel's strategy to avoid U.S. foreign lobbying law, claimed in a report. 1 month ago, Hartz commented as, after Iran steals sensitive Israeli data, Israel tries to censor the internet. 1 month ago it has been reported as, Iranian operatives have been posing as Israelis to try to recruit them, Shin Bet says.
Ukrainian parliament renames 327 towns to break away from the Soviet heritage. CERN prepares to expel Russian scientists, but won't completely cut ties. Study claims low cognitive ability intensifies the link between social media use and anti-immigrant attitudes.
U.S. officials concede Gaza ceasefire out of reach for Biden. UN General Assembly overwhelmingly adopts historic text demanding Israel end its unlawful presence, policies in occupied Palestinian territory within 1 year. Israel offers to end war. Let Sinwar leave if all hostages freed at once. Gaza disarmed. Dutch prosecutors say man arrested after fatal stabbing is suspected of a terrorist motive. Major jihadist attack in Mali's capital killed more than 70, security source says.
Cuban president invited to next BRICS summit in Russia. Pakistan joins major Eurasian transport corridor passing through Uzbekistan, as Pakistan has joined the development of a new international transport corridor through Belarus, Russia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, and Pakistan to Indian Ocean ports. Departing NATO chief warns U.S. against isolationism.
The Guardian reports as former Trump advisors helped to grow pro-Russia website that spreads misinformation. Russians at War finally shows in Toronto as a stand against that abuse, against those threats that forced TIFF to halt screenings. Kremlin promotes Putin globally on YouTube it blocks in Russia.
Biden's arms transfers to Israel under internal investigation. Hartz reports as an Israeli student worked for Iranian intelligence. TikTok removes Russian state media outlets RT and Sputnik, citing covert influence operations. Telegram will now hand over your phone number and IP if you're a criminal suspect. Kaspersky deletes itself, installs Ultra-AV antivirus without warning. 2 months ago, Kaspersky will shutter U.S. operations after software is banned by Commerce Department, citing risk.
Relations with Russia should be reconsidered after war in Ukraine, Macron says. Zelensky arrives in U.S. to discuss Ukraine's victory plan with Biden. Trump tells to Ukraine's president. Zelensky is greatest salesman, wants Democrats to win.
Northrop Grumman and Lithuania to partner on ammo production for IFVs, the infantry fighting vehicles, as Lithuania partners with Northrop Grumman to produce medium-caliber ammunition. New satellite images reveal failed launch of Sarmat intercontinental ballistic missile used by Putin for intimidation, as Russia's test launch of ICBM, known as Satan II, appears to have failed. Zelensky says Trump doesn't know how to end war, and Vance is too radical.
A court in Argentina orders the arrest of Venezuela's president and his right-hand man, as Argentine justice ordered the immediate arrest of Nicolas Maduro and Diosdado Cabello for serious crimes in Venezuela. Singapore former Minister Iswaran convicted, prosecution asks for 6 to 7 months jail, as hearing adjourns to October 3. Iswaran's lawyers seek 8 weeks. Tanzania's opposition leader Tundu Lissu arrested at his home, ahead of planned protests. New centre-right government in France announced 2 months after divisive elections. In the US, Republican Congress Speaker Mike Johnson axes Trump-backed bill, linked to proof of citizenship for new voters.
Janet Jackson reportedly apologizes to Kamala Harris, blames misinformation for comments. Recently, Janet Jackson echoes false claims that Kamala Harris is not black. Trump and Harris consider 60 Minutes interviews that would air on same day, claimed in a report. 2 days ago, Trump says it's too late after Harris agrees to October 23 debate on CNN. Conservatives may have to create a new party after the GOP became corrupted by Trump, Liz Cheney suggests. Trump says he doesn't see himself running in 2028 if he loses in November.
Kamala Harris, Oprah Winfrey to host virtual event targeting battleground states. Harris says, if somebody breaks into my house, they're getting shot during event with Oprah. Teamsters Union says won't endorse Harris or Trump in U.S. election. CNN reports that North Carolina governor candidate Mark Robinson declared himself Black Nazi on porn site, and Mark Robinson vows to stay in NC governor's race following report he made inflammatory comments on a porn site. Trump-backed governor candidate denies Black Nazi post.
Most Canadians want fewer immigrants in 2025, as per Nano's survey. Student accused of terror plot in New York raised no red flags upon entry into Canada. Records show, 2 weeks ago, a Pakistani national charged for plotting terrorist attack in New York City in support of ISIS. Canada to cut study permits for international students by 35%.
Nigel Farage to give up ownership of Reform UK. In Germany, 1 in 3 from police force reports racist comments from colleagues. Right-wing members of European Parliament unite to recognise González as Venezuelan president, weakening cordon sanitaire.
China rams Philippine ship while 60 Minutes on board. It has been commented as South China Sea tensions could draw U.S. in. Respected mathematician Kenji Fukaya leaves U.S. to teach at China's Tsinghua University. Malaysia's king to seek funds for high-speed rail on China visit, sources say.
In Brazil, federal police will investigate who used X after blocking. Maurice finds X 5 million Brazilian reals for trick that circumvented social media block in Brazil. X indicates lawyers, and Maurice gives the social network 24 hours to prove legal representation in Brazil.
Judge extends temporary restraining order against Biden's student debt forgiveness plan. 2 weeks ago, Republican-led U.S. states sue over new Biden student debt relief plan. In the U.S., Johnson under pressure after U.S. Congress fails to pass Republican funding plan, and Trump pushes shutdown. 2 days ago, Congress Republicans torpedoes Speaker Johnson's funding bill. In the U.S., Senator Warren says vote on marijuana banking bill could happen this year, blames Republicans for lack of progress. As reportedly, senators push to pass cannabis banking bill after marijuana rescheduling. Secret Service report details communication failures preceding July assassination attempt on Trump. House unanimously votes to boost Secret Service protection for presidential and VP candidates.
Trump says that if he loses, the Jewish people would have a lot to do with it. Harris could win the presidency but lose the Senate, giving Republicans a veto over her agenda and judges. Scientific American magazine's comments as, vote for Kamala Harris to support science, health and the environment.
New York City sheriff under investigation. As Adams' inner circle faces federal probes, Elon Musk steps up political giving with six-figure donation to U.S. Congress Republicans. U.S. Congress passes bill, blocking Biden administration's attempt to require two-thirds of new cars to be electric within years.
Labeling Trump's lies as disputed on X makes supporters believe them more, study finds. The most surprising new gun owners are U.S. liberals. Democratic senators urge FCC to pass AI political ads proposal, and broadcasters, cable companies urge FCC to nix the AI disclosure proposal.
Mango Markets agrees to destroy MNGO tokens in SEC settlement. Robinhood. Revolut reportedly looking to rival Tether with stablecoin launches. U.S. charges Joker's stash and Rescator money launderers.
Former FTX executive Caroline Ellison faces sentencing. SBF's neurodivergence saw him misinterpreted at trial, doctors argue. OpenAI news account on X compromised, sends crypto posts. AI-related cryptos lead altcoin surge. Bitcoin breakout nears with several catalysts in Q4, announced by analysts. Signum unit receives Liechtenstein license as a crypto asset service provider. Harris says her White House will invest in America's future, which includes digital assets, as Harris vows to aid AI, crypto sectors and pitch to NYC donors.
JP Morgan's Onyx blockchain used for Siemens' digital commercial paper settlement. Canada shifts focus from CBDCs to payments landscape. Spanish rights group Ejida introduces alternative financing tool Sigo Creative at the 72nd San Sebastian Festival.
German authorities shut down 47 crypto exchanges for money laundering links. In Germany, Commerzbank partners with Deutsche Börse Crypto Finance to offer crypto trading to corporate clients. Crypto exchange BingX hacked. On-chain data shows over $43 million drained. SEC drops Ethereum 2.0 investigation, and court dismisses consensus lawsuit. 3 months ago, SEC charges Consensus Software for unregistered offers and sales of securities through its MetaMask staking service. 5 months ago, crypto firm Consensus sues U.S. SEC over Ethereum regulation. SEC seeks extension till February 2025 to produce documents in Coinbase case.
JP Morgan, UBS join BIS. Bank for International Settlements blockchain-based plan to overhaul cross-border payments. Harvard students and alumni launch groundbreaking native Bitcoin blockchain project at Harvard Innovation Labs to tackle global debt crisis. Elon Musk didn't show up for testimony in a probe over his $44 billion Twitter takeover. Now the SEC wants sanctions.
Pirate library LibGen must pay publishers $30 million, but no one knows who runs it, as U.S. court orders LibGen to pay $30 million to publishers, issues broad injunction. California's new law forces digital stores to admit you're just licensing content, not buying it. Steam will let you sue Valve now.
In the U.S., deepfake caller poses as Ukrainian official in exchange with key senator. MoneyGram goes offline as it investigates cybersecurity problem. Caroline Ellison, FTX founder's former girlfriend and key witness in his fraud trial, sentenced to 2 years in prison.
Google's shift to Rust programming cuts Android memory vulnerabilities by 52%. LG TVs start showing ads on screensavers. Axios reports that Koch's equity company eyes Forbes deal.
U.S. investigating SAP Caresoft for possible price fixing. FBI probing Silicon Valley Venture Capital Fund for passing trade secrets to China. Claimed in a report. Dozens of Fortune 100 companies have unwittingly hired North Korean IT workers, according to report.
Hezbollah asked Iran to attack Israel, Israeli and Western officials say. Reuters reports that Iran brokering talks to send advanced Russian missiles to Yemen's Houthis, sources say. China-linked hackers breach U.S. internet providers in new Salt Typhoon cyber attack.
Nancy Pelosi's husband sold more than $500,000 worth of Visa stock, just weeks before DOJ's antitrust lawsuit. Precious genius Elon Musk love bombs, beautiful Georgia Maloney at Think Tank Awards, and Elon Musk denies romantic relationship with Georgia Maloney after Italian PM calls him precious genius. PayPal enables business accounts to buy hold and sell cryptocurrency, except New York State.
Royal Canadian Navy requires its first new submarine to be delivered by the mid-2030s, as current Victoria-class submarine fleet is scheduled to be decommissioned then. Mainland China's Norinco unveils drone that can reach Taiwan and may outperform U.S. rival. Pentagon to spend $500 million on women's health research.
Ford patents drug detection system to protect consumers from planted drugs. China's car dealers struggle with $20 billion in losses amid price war. Make Chinese cars in Russia. Industry group urges manufacturers as import costs mount. In the UK, Rachel Reeves sets apart Labour's fiscal approach from the Tories and signals more borrowing. EU pledges to loan Ukraine up to $39 billion to help rebuild its economy and power grid. Major banks commit to triple global nuclear capacity by 2050.
Japan destroyer inadvertently entered China waters. Captain sacked. Russian warship fired at Norwegian fishing boat. As small Norwegian fishing boat confronted Russian warship during live shooting exercise. China threatens to detonate the relationship if Milei criticizes them at the UN. People's Bank of China will soon cut reserve requirement ratio by 50 base points, as China rolls out sweeping stimulus measures to buoy sagging economy. China's yuan gains ground after rate cuts, exporters' U.S. dollar exodus. FT comments as it's no longer glorious to get rich in China, it's dangerous. Commerzbank, Unicredit shares fall as Germany plans to keep 12% stake. Olaf Scholz says Germany opposes a Commerzbank takeover as Unicredit boosts its stake in Commerzbank, applies to own up to 29.9% of the German bank. USA's Department of Justice to sue Visa over debit card market monopoly, Bloomberg News reports. Citigroup's China expansion plan delayed by U.S. regulators.
U.S. targets China's rare earths dominance with Minerals Security Finance Network. India's finished steel imports from China hit 7-year high in April through August, data shows. Samsung plans to invest $1.8 billion more in Vietnam for OLED manufacturing.
China's Leapmotor and Stellantis open orders in Europe for budget EVs, and Stellantis begins search for new CEO, lays out plan to improve U.S. business. SpaceX disputes $633,000 FAA fine, citing systematic challenges with agency. WordPress co-creator Matt Mullenweg calls WP Engine a cancer to WordPress and urges community to switch providers.
NORAD detects 4 Russian military aircraft near Alaska after U.S. Army recently deployed soldiers to area. Reportedly, U.S. seeks control of Russian S-400s in exchange for Turkey's return to F-35 program, as Turkey nears deal to decommission S-400 air defenses and return to F-35 fighter program, claimed in reports. Russia will not resume nuclear test unless U.S. does, as announced by Deputy FM.
The Guardian reports, as revealed, Russia anticipated Kursk incursion months in advance, seized papers show. Russia redeploys 40,000 troops to Kursk Oblast as Kiev's incursion continues, Zelensky says. Ukraine reportedly uses triple-loaded Neptune missile to strike Russian ammunition depot into a region. North Korean missiles ICBMs, air defenses destroyed in Russia blast, claimed in a report. EU Parliament passes resolution to remove all restrictions on Ukraine strikes in Russia.
Ukraine's gun-armed ground robot just cleared a Russian trench in Kursk. Army picks 2 companies to get small drones to brigade combat teams, as U.S. Army embraces Ukraine-style warfare with new all-drone unit. U.S. deploys soldiers,